We're this close to crowning an NBA champion. I like the Celtics, by the way, in 6. Jaylen Brown's going to be my MVP, and I love the Celtics in game 1. But sign up 90 seconds. Put in the code Colin, COLIN, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you're a new customer, bet $5. That's it. Just bet $5, and you'll get $150 instantly in bonus bets. The code Colin, COLIN, shows them that you're a new customer to get $150 in bonus bets only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm leaning Celtics in 6, baby. We're this close.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Draymond Green Show. We got another episode of Champs Only, which means if you're not a champion, you're not welcome here. We don't want to hear you talk about the NBA Finals if you're not a champion, because why would we listen to you talk about the NBA Finals? You have no experience. You don't know what these guys are thinking. You probably don't even know what the hell these guys are doing. But anyway, this is Champs Only, and the Celtics survived a tough shooting night to go up 2-0. And that is trouble in the NBA Finals. And I will tell you why. But before we get into it, this episode is brought to you in part by Hyper Ice. As you know, as a 12-year veteran myself, a lot of guys miss out on the recovery that it takes to play in the NBA. And this guy who I got on with me will tell you a little more about that as he went through it very early in his career. But anyway, it's important that my body can bounce back as I get older. As I've told you all before, I am a super big fan of Hyper Ice, especially the Normatec boots, because I just feel like Superman when I come out of them. And as you all know, or may not know, I'm letting you know, the Normatec Elites are new. They're the best. They've ditched all those extra hoses and the control units from the old model, so you can get on the go if you need the Normatec Elites. They are great. This one is fully self-contained with a small set of buttons to select your compression level. Super easy to travel with and to get set up after a hard workout, after a game, or if it's for you who's not an athlete, after a hard day of work, or walking around, or chasing the kids around. Because, by the way, as I get older, chasing these kids around, it's tough. And my son calls me old on the daily. So these are for you as well. On top of that, the Normatec Elite packs 4 hours of battery life, which is enough juice to get full leg compression cycles in before games, after games, on the plane, after work, before work, at work. How about that? At work. You saw me podcasting in the Normatec Elites, and I was at work. That is my day job right now, as we have lost, and the finals are going on, and we're not playing. So don't get me started on the tech inside this thing. The Hyper Ice has been pioneering recovery science for years, and the brand new Normatec Elite takes it to another dimension with 7 different compression levels to choose from. As I said before, it's not just for pro athletes, it is for you. Whoever is not a pro athlete, which most of you aren't pro athletes, and it is for you. So shop all your warm-up and recovery needs at hyperice.com. Use code Draymond. For those of you who hate the name Draymond because you hate me, but you watch this podcast because you hate me, I got a gift for you. Use the code Draymond on hyperice.com for 15% off your order today. Exclusions may apply. Now it is time to welcome our guests for Game 2 of Champs Only. I am so excited to have this guest because I've watched this man grow from a young 18-year-old boy that came out of high school with a bunch of height, went to UCLA and delivered, came into the NBA and got red flagged, which is what we will talk about. Special, special player, even more special person. And you all have heard me say it before. I won't say it because he's right here. But one of the, if not the best teammate I've had. But even aside from that, and I've said this verbatim, the most professional guy that I've ever been around. And by the way, you see me getting suspended and stuff. I'm not the best profession. No. in the NBA. But this guy is the most professional. I've never seen him late for anything. Always way early for everything. Never has a complaint no matter what the situation is, whether that's I'm starting today, I'm out of the rotation tomorrow. Does not matter whether that's I need to switch on to James Harden or you need me to battle with Joel Embiid. I'll do that too. By the way, I'll tell you a quick story before I really introduce this guest. So we lost in the finals in 2016, which was his first year. And after the game, we lost game 7. After that series ended, he and his guy, which is my guy, love him to death, Big Ward, they said, man, you needed help rebounding out there. And Loon could have helped you rebound. And I'm like, man, yeah, we could have rebounded better. And they like, no, Loon could have, I'm telling you, Loon would have helped you rebound. Loon done got those rebounds. And the reality is he then follows all of that talk up years later with 20-plus rebounds in multiple games on the way to an NBA championship, starting center. None other. It's time for us to welcome our guest, Golden State Warrior, 3-time NBA champion, my man, Kevon Looney. What's up, my brother?
What's up, man? I appreciate the intro. Glad
Absolutely.
To meet you, man.
Hey, listen, I'm excited as hell to have you on because, number one, I think, A, people don't get to hear you talk often. B, people don't understand the importance that you've had in the run that we've had, the importance that you've had in the championships we won. They don't understand that, and they really don't know you, and they think you're mute, which, by the way, this dude didn't say a word for many years. Actually, you all know about the episode that me and Coach Kerr, Steve Kerr, had in the locker room against OKC when Lisa Salters went out and reported what was like coming out of our locker room, which was like assault, but crazy. But this guy never said a word. By the way, I think that thing may have happened in like February or March. But this guy hadn't said a word all year. And then me and Steve like going at it in the locker room. And he's sitting there like, uncontrollably laughing, like, and then he starts to talk. And the reality is to see something like that, me personally, I feel like that's the Milwaukee in him. Like it opens you up. But let's start there. Talk to me about that, Loon. Like, why all of a sudden did you feel like, oh, now I'm going to start talking to y'all after that happened?
Coming in as a rookie, and I was hurt to start the year off, so I didn't really get the chance to like be around y'all or be in the locker room. I was had me rehabbing like at a different place. So it was like a little bit weird being around you guys. And y'all was a little bit older. And we didn't lose the game either. So it was like, all right, I didn't feel comfortable being myself. Everything seemed like it was all like roses and winning every game. And then to see something really happen where guys really was tested. And I seen like, I reminded my teams growing up of that chaos. Really people really want to win. Like people were willing to fight to win, and I see y'all sit together, just made me feel comfortable. It made me feel like home. I feel like I was with my guys. Like, these are my type of dudes right here. They really like. You see it about in college and high school. You see it on TV. It's like, I don't know how type of dudes these are, but to see it up and live in person, like, these dudes really about that. I feel real comfortable when I came out of my shell a little bit.
That's hilarious because obviously none of you were there for that moment, but in this moment, Steve wanted to kill me, and then he realized I wanted to kill him.
Yeah, that was one of the funniest things that I've been a part of, and sitting next to most space and hearing everybody trying to calm everybody down, I just couldn't help myself from laughing. It was just, I know it wasn't right to laugh. It was a serious moment, but hearing Clay in the background telling Draymond to relax and we're a team, you guys, it just made me laugh. That was one of the funniest things I've been a part of.
Clay's like, Dre, shut up, man. He's the coach, man. Like,
yeah. And we won that game, which was crazy. Came back, y'all put us together and that's when Steph hit the crazy half-court shot. So it was like, all right,
these the shot. That is the shot that actually, like, obviously Steph had already start becoming Steph. Right. But, like, if you want to pinpoint a moment in Steph's career, that shot was like, oh, he different. Like, this dude here, he got no conscience. He shoot the ball from anywhere in any situation. That shot was different. That's what separated him. Well, not separated him, but that's what made people like, oh, No, he really one of them ones. And they came off the heels of Steve trying to murder me and then me hopping up and trying to get back at him. What a time, man. Steve and I, by the way, Loon, this is just one moment. Steve and I have had so many of those moments, and it's just been like that. Like, we actually built our relationship on those moments. And as Loon can attest to now, I don't even think me and Steve have an argument today. Like, and he's like, oh, Draymond, like, what the fuck are you doing? You should have. And I'm like, all right, my bad. Like, I'll do it now. Like, but it's been great. Nonetheless, obviously, we're here with 3-time champion Kevon Looney, and we just watched the NBA Finals. I watched the NBA Finals. You watched the NBA Finals. Let's start off. Number one, and I'll just get right into it. This is the first question I want to ask because I'm watching it and I couldn't help but think this because we lived it. If the Boston Celtics close this series out and win the NBA championship, and Jayson Tatum does not win the MVP, we watched it with Steph, right? For years, they're like, oh, man, it's like an asterisk. If Jayson Tatum does not win MVP, how do you see that playing out for him if he doesn't win MVP in this series?
For him, I think it's going to be business as usual. You know, from watching Steph not get it, it didn't really change none of his confidence. You know, of course, he want to win it. As a competitor, you want to win it, but I don't feel like it's going to, change his demeanor. I don't think he's going to look at his teammates any differently. You know, after being there and losing, and he got that taste of losing, I think at this point, he just want to get the ring. I think that's the first thing I think he want to accomplish. Then maybe get there a second or third time. Now you want to get all the extra. I want the Finals MVP. I want that. But I think right now he just trying to win. He know how I feel to lose in that moment, and we both been on the losing side, and it hurts. So you just want to get to that tasting the champagne and get that experience.
Hey, by the way, losing in the NBA Finals is the absolute worst thing you can do. You lose about 7 weeks of your summer, 7 weeks of your 17-week summer, and you got absolutely nothing to show for it other than like a garbage playoff check that in the grand scheme of things, it's good money. But when you break it down, like I actually make more money per game than the NBA Finals check if you win the NBA Finals. Like when you break it down to play 25 extra games, like when you really break it down, the check actually doesn't make sense. Nonetheless, we'll take the money for sure, but you only got to show for like a little bit more in your playoff bonus, and you lost your 7 weeks of
tear on your body.
Oh my God, that's like
when you play, give your heart out, you come up short. Now you got to spend the whole summer rehabbing. You don't get to be healthy all the way. It's just a lot more pain.
What you end up doing is you end up going into your summer like managing your body, and so the reality it's very hard to get better coming off an NBA Finals because you need a break, and then you're trying to manage your body, and then you're trying to ramp up at the right time so that you're ready to get back. Like it's actually the absolute worst thing that can happen to you: get into the NBA Finals and lose it. That was the worst experience of my career, both times.
Yeah,
like this is the worst. Oh, you experienced both of those, by the way.
Both of them, yeah.
It's the worst. By the way, Toon's first experience, we're not gonna talk about. I blew it, and we'll move on from that. I blew it. I blew it. It's cool. We'll move on from that. But Toon, I got a question for you. So we had a lot of success against this Boston team when we start sending everybody left.
Right.
And when you watch this series, I actually think you can still do it and be successful. However, I don't think Dallas has been egregious enough and like, no, you got to go left. I actually think they're favoring that thing more with JT than they are with JB. And I think you can have some success with both of them doing that. Nonetheless, when you're looking at Dallas's game plan, what is it that you think they can do differently to help them, get a win in this series and get rolling?
I feel like it's more the offensive end than the defensive end. I don't feel like they're not like Boston isn't getting 120 some points. They're not shooting the three that well. They're making it tough for Tatum. He's not getting easy looks.
Yeah.
But offensively, I think you got to get like Luka came out really aggressive in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he got to get his role guys a little bit more involved in the first half. I know as a role player in that first quarter, if you don't get a layup or a dunk or something to get you going, you get a little tense. Now later in the game, you ain't gonna shoot the ball as well. Seem like things don't go your way if you don't get off to a good start. Now for game one, they didn't get off to a good start as a team. I think today Luka came out, made sure that they got off to a better start. He was really aggressive. He had got it going, but I don't know if his PJ got it going or Derek didn't have that confidence shooting a three. Cleveland had that confidence. So I think it's more the offensive end. They got to figure out what pace they want to play at. So Luka can really control the game. I think they haven't really found a rhythm of like what's the right pace for them right now. I don't know what you think.
I actually think exactly what you just said. I think the offensive end, Luka started off great, and I agree with you. Like, it's like me. If I see that first three go in, like, it changes my night offensively. Like, you see that first one going, because here's how you have to think about it, right? Like, if I see that first three go in, that means I got 2 threes to play with. Like, because if I miss the next two, I'm at 33%. Cool. Ain't nobody expecting me to shoot 45 like Steph Curry. Like, so I'm at 33% if I miss those next two. So that gives me 2 threes to play with, right? And I think Luka did come out super aggressive. And to be quite honest, I think as much as Luka needed to come out that aggressive, it actually played right into the hands of Boston. Because Boston's game plan, as you can see, their game plan is, all right, Luka and Kyrie, y'all beat us. Like, we're going to take these other guys away. We're taking these lobs away. All the lobs you was getting against Minnesota, all the lobs you was getting, I'm drawing a blank on who they was playing before, but all the lobs, we taking all of that stuff away. And now let's see, can you beat us with Luka and Kyrie? And I think Luka played really well. Kai is getting to his spots. He's just missing.
He missing shots.
Like, and as we know, this is a make or miss league. So I agree with you 100%. I think their offense has actually hurt their defense. Like, their defense I think, like I said, I think they can be more egregious and plan on Boston being the directional team that they are. I think they can be more egregious in those coverages. But at the same time, their offense has been a problem. And it's crazy because when I was watching the game and I was thinking about the podcast, like, you be watching, I'll be taking notes and I'll be thinking, and like, one thing I was going to say is Dallas right now has to make an adjustment. And the adjustment that they have to make is actually extremely tough, but it's doable, which is they actually need to change their offense right now.
Right.
Like, I think they need to have Luka in the post. Like, put Luka in the post. Because here's the thing, and you can speak to this, and I want you to speak to it. Luka, the way he plays, and, he has the ball, he makes all the plays, is very similar. I won't say a lot like, because I think Luka's actually like LeBron James, but I'll say very similar to the James Harden Rockets. Yeah. And you can speak to that because I remember, I'll get to that question in a second, but like, talk to me about that. Like, Luka got the ball and they're saying, great, go beat us. Like, good, go. And he had 23. Like, with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter or something like that. But their game plan is to let you do that. So just talk to me about, like, understanding, like, when you get in these NBA finals, we know you go with a game plan. Then when you see that game plan work, like, talk to me about that, like, understanding the game plan, seeing it work, and then, like, what's next for the opposite team that's seeing their game plan not work.
Right. Yeah, I agree with putting Luka on the post. Like, from guarding him in the playoffs and guarding him throughout the year. When he's at the top, he's tough to stop, but you got help. He's farther away from the basket. You can kind of pick the shots you want him to take, or he got to take a lot more dribbles to get to his spot. But when he gets a live dribble in the post, like, you kind of got to double. And now he can really pick them apart. He can get other guys involved because he can shoot his turnaround. He can shoot the same shots he's doing from the top. He can do it off the post. And now you kind of got to help everybody. He gets already getting in the paint. Now guys don't know where to rotate from. It's just difficult. Even when we played him this year, it was kind of hard. When he's on the post, it's kind of hard to really dictate where he's going to make the pass and stuff like that. So I agree with putting him on the post, moving around, because to sit him at the top, he's going to score, but I think it's easier to take the other guys away. You can just switch everything and play boxes and elbows and then close out. And Boston's super athletic, so they can really get out to the shooters. And so I think putting him on the post would probably be best. He can score anybody down there. That's on Holiday, Tatum. So they're gonna have to send somebody at some point. And then when they do, he's able to pick them apart and get other guys involved. So I definitely agree with that.
I watched you make a career, actually, out of. All right. Let me explain this, because people be like, oh, like, how could you be disrespectful like that? But the reality is, we all make our careers off of something. Like, you do something, and then you're able to build on that. And I watched you make a career out of actually being switched on to James Harden, and a guy who has actually become our brother, which I always say is nuts. But CP, right. I watched them, like, you come in the game, them wave me out of the pick and roll, like, no, don't bring him up. Bring him up. And call you into the pick and roll, like, all right, now we got the switch. I'm going at him. And then you sit down on C. You sit down on James. And, like, make them take tough shots. Are we expecting you to lock them down? Of course not. Like, by the way, not expecting me to lock them down. Not expecting Clay to lock. You want to make them take tough. And I watched you switch onto them and make them take tough shots over and over and over again, and then start to build your career. When you look at this Boston team, they're switching everything, and they're like, y'all got to beat us. And what Boston keep doing is they keep calling Al Horford into the pick and roll. Al Horford is switching. Now, by the way, that's actually Boston's worst nightmare, because I actually think Al Horford is way worse in pick and roll coverage than he is switching. And so it's working to their favor. But like I said, I watched you make a career out of that. When you watch them continue to call Al Horford into the pick and roll, what is that like, being the big that's on the other side of that? And then also, do you think it's possible for Dallas to win if they keep just calling him into the pick and roll and then getting the switch?
Well, as a big and called into the pick and roll every time, it sucks. That's one thing. Playing with you, nobody wants to attack you, so I had to always be the guy. All right, let's bring the other big into it. So I got a lot of reps, and Horford's not a bad defender. It'd be different if he's somebody has a cone out there. He's they blowing right past him, but no, Horford is he's a good positional defender. He's gonna make somebody get to their second move. And when you that far from the basket, that's all you want. Be there for 3 seconds, make them work, make a change direction once. Even if you're guard, that's all you really want to do. So I think I don't think it's a good idea to keep bringing them into pick and rolls and switching. I think like Horford, you got to kind of move him around. And that's what we kind of did with Steph. When it wasn't just straight, ISO one-on-one. Like, we kind of moved him around. We talked about sprinting into the screen, flipping the screen, changing the angle. So now he got to be on the move. And if he's able to just to line you up and have his hands out, he's going to be able to get a stop, or he's going to make it tough for you. But when you, as a big on the move, and you got a guard changing direction, that's when it gets really tough. And I think that they kind of got to move the bigs around. It's so easy just to play one-on-one from the top. It's easy to bait somebody to a three, and it's tough beating somebody taking all step back threes and tough too. So,
yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's crazy because when you sprint into those screens, it then builds confusion of the switch. Like, oh, now you sprint into it. That guy got to sprint. Now he moving. He got to stop. The guard coming off. He can split. He can attack you. You getting that switch. It's not just like you loading up. The defense isn't set in the other spots. You sprint into it. You sprint into it. You can flip it. You sprint into it. You can slip it. Like, it opens up so many options.
Right. That's the one line they did get was from Jones flipping the screen. There was a lot of confusion. He got the lob. So I think they got to definitely try to change the screen, change the angle, and don't always put the big in because we game plan for that. We know all right if Horford's in the ISO on the island, this is what we're gonna do. When you change the pieces and the players, sometimes guards don't know how to switch all the time, or they might not be used to different type of switches. So, or if it's Brown and Tatum, are we switching? Are we not? Or so different things like that. You gotta kind of try to change the pieces on the court.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that 100%. I saw something in the third quarter that happened, and it was very reminiscent of me, or reminiscent of something for me that I saw. And I just wonder if you saw the same thing, or did it make you think the same thing that it made me think? What did Peyton Pritchard's third quarter buzzer beater make you think about?
Our series, JP hitting the shot, how it changed the whole momentum.
Changed everything, by the way. We were up. What were we up? 15 points or something going into that quarter, and they took the lead.
Right.
And then, by the way, when you take a lead like that, after coming back from down so much, and then you take the lead,
right,
what it does to the other team is demoralizing.
Right.
They had the lead, and then JP hits the crazy shot, which then takes the momentum back immediately for us, because now, as opposed to you looking up and saying, we're up one,
right,
you look up and you say, man, we killed ourselves.
right.
We down two.
Right.
And what that does to you mentally is crazy, because I was watching the game and I said to a few of my friends, Dallas was playing extremely well. And they looked up, and it was 36-35 Boston.
Right.
And when they looked up and saw 36-35 Boston, I could look at Dallas, by the way, and you could see, like, by the way, you see me? I'm talking a minute. When you see this, you know we got them.
Right.
And I saw that from Dallas. Like, when they looked up and it was 36-35, you saw Luka still like, come on, I'm going to go. But you saw guys like,
right.
That's that belief of like, and Toon, you could speak to this. I feel like, and I wonder if you feel the same way, I feel like we get to a point in every series. The first time we didn't get to that point was actually the Lakers in my career, where we got to a point and we like, oh, we got this. Actually, yeah, even when we lost to the Clippers, we thought we had, and when we lost to the Spurs, we was up 2-1, we thought. But you get to a point in every series where you're like, oh, I know X, Y, and Z, we win it.
Right.
And at that moment, I feel like Boston was like, oh, we got this. Like, we winning. But anyway, can you speak to that, or do you feel that way, that same way as well, of like when you get to the point in the series and you're like, oh, yeah, we got this one?
For sure. Like going into a series, you're confident that you can win, but you don't really know. Like, we see what they're gonna do. We played them in the regular season, but you know it's different in the playoffs. So when you get to playing, even you can go down and you can lose, and then and still feel like, all right, we lost this game, but we got these dudes. Like we figured out what they're doing. We got the game plan. If I make this adjustment, we gonna win. And I've never been on the other side where I didn't feel like winning. Probably was that Lakers series where we got down. It's like, all right, what are we gonna do to figure this out?
Mm-hmm.
How are we gonna crack this code? Who we need to get going to win, and different things like that. And watching the game, I definitely feel like Boston feel like, oh, we got these dudes. Like Tatum not shooting well. Jaylen Brown ain't shoot that well. But we still winning. We're making all the 50-50 plays. We playing our solid basketball, and that's when you're doing that, you feel good about it. When we can play a bad game or not have a shooting night, but our identity, our will kind of win us the game. That's when you know, like, we got this. If we should, now you go back home thinking, like, we should make our threes. We should win by 20, and that feeling gives you the confidence. Like, we can go win it. So I definitely feel like Boston feels that way. Dallas, they going home, so they're gonna feel good about it. Everybody play better at home. And I think that game 3 is gonna be big because they need to win. They need a confident win too. They don't need to squeak it out. They need to go out there and really flex their muscles so they can get that confidence back. Like, oh, we really could beat these dudes and put some doubt into Boston.
This is the Draymond Green show presented to you by actually not by High Price. This is the Draymond Green show presented to you by Kevon Looney, because the things that this man is saying right now, I hope y'all listening. And this is exactly why I was excited as hell when I hit you yesterday. Like, yo, and you know what's crazy too? And I ain't gonna lie to you. I was sitting there and I'm like, we need to book a guest for Champs Only tomorrow. Who do we book? Who do we book? And Trav said, what about Loon? And I said, man, say no more. That's genius.
Right.
Because A, I love him to death, but B, he gonna get the opportunity to show the world how smart he is. And I get to live it every day. Like, this dude come to me and like, most people would consider me smart in the basketball world. And like, this dude would come to me like, hey, what you see? Because I see blah, 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 blah. You see that? I'm like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, you just said it. Like, that's exactly what's happening.
Right.
And when I tell you, and I've raved about him, right? I've raved about his professionalism. I've raved about him being a great teammate. What I have not raved about is how smart this man is. And the things that he's saying right now is actually things that if I was sitting here doing a podcast with y'all by myself, the things that I would want to say. I'm not sure I'll land on them because you get in this thing and it's a little different. Like, you kind of go with the flow, you make your points. I'm not sure I'll land on them, but the things that he's saying right now is where I would want to land. And I hope y'all listening, because the education that you're getting right now is special. This man talking about going back home, how everybody going to play better, how they need to win. Not they need to win, but how they need to win in order to make this a series. See, as the Big D's will say, this is G14 classification, telling you what you need to know, how you need to go about it. And I'm sorry, but, you know, I love taking pride in the Draymond Green show, but the Draymond Green show is being dominated right now. And you got to love it, because when you tuned into this show, you didn't expect it. You know why you didn't expect it? Because you didn't know that the reason this man is so successful, the reason this man can go get 20 rebounds in multiple playoff games in a series, it's not because he can jump that high. It's not because he's the smartest guy. It's because not the smartest guy. I mean, the strongest guy. It's because he's smart. It's because he can see the ball like, oh, that's about to bounce there. I'm going to go that way. Y'all remember the thing? I'm going to set the mic down so I can do this. Y'all remember the thing when Dennis Rodman was like, well, I'll go this way. Like, that's what this man does, and it's one of the most incredible things. But even also from a defensive perspective, it's not that he's fast enough to keep up with prime James Harden mixing everybody, or prime Chris Paul mixing it. It's not that he's fast enough. It's not that he moves great enough to keep up with them dudes. I don't move great enough to keep up with them dudes. It's because he's that smart. And so I hope y'all are appreciating this the way I'm appreciating it. In tune.
I appreciate that, Nick. Especially coming from you.
I appreciate you.
The smartest player I done played with. I got a lot of knowledge from you, so I appreciate that.
Hey, listen, one of the things I always say, and it's crazy because I be feeling like it and I never tell them, you can't be the king of the parking lot forever. And you're not going to be the guy. By the way, if you take someone under your wing and you try to teach them the things that you know, if they don't end up smarter than you didn't do a good job. Or you didn't do the job that needed to be done. Because for me, since this man arrived, in in San Francisco, Oakland, actually, but with the Golden State Warriors. He actually arrived to take my spot, like, because the Warriors kept drafting people to like get me out of there for like 5-6 years. It was like Loon, then it was I mean, I could just name the names. I won't remember the order, but it was like Loon, then JB, then like Eric Pascal, Smiley, like the list went on, and the Warriors kept drafting people to like replace me. And I get it, by the way. Like, it was never like that's bullshit, or like, fuck that, I'm not going to teach this man something. Like, it was never that for me for a couple reasons. Number one is because when I got the spot that I got, when David Lee was hurt, and then I took this over the spot, he never stopped teaching me. He never stopped saying, like, yo, you see this, like, they're doing this, you should, or how to combat. He never stopped teaching me, and loved David Lee to death. Always will have my love and respect. Never stopped teaching me. So, number one, I was taught that. At Michigan State, when the competition was going on, Travis Walton taught us, like, no, I'm in competition with Kevon Lucas because he coming in to take my spot. But that's my little brother, and I'm going to teach him everything I know. And so for me, I've tried to teach and instill everything I know into this man right here because I felt like that was my duty. And I be feeling so dumb when he come talk to me like, yo, you see da-da-da-da-da-da. And like sometimes I don't even see it and I'll be like, yeah, I saw that. Like I just act like I saw it. But secondly, even if I do see it, it's like, bro, you don't need the answers from me. Like, you know the answers to the test already. Like, I don't need to give you the answers to the test. And I feel like he'd be doing that on purpose to make me look or feel dumb. Not look, because it's just me and him. Feel dumb when he like, yo, you see blah, 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 blah. And they doing this. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what they doing. But nonetheless.
I gotta make sure I'm right. I be having ideas, but I gotta make sure, check in with you. Because if you seen it, I know I'm right there.
Hey, it is the most special thing when you take a young guy under your wing and then you see them have success. It is the best feeling. By the way, it was the same thing for me with Jordan Poole. When I took like JP under my wing and to see him have success was the best thing for me. One of the worst feelings I've ever had as an NBA basketball player was seeing him get a contract and knowing that I fucked it off and I couldn't celebrate his contract with him. It was one of the worst feelings that I've ever had as an NBA player. Not losing the NBA Finals, as much as that sucks, you move on from it. But, like, that's a life-changing thing. Like, we've experienced that. Like, you got your contract. That was life-changing, right? We experienced that. And to see his life change like that and, like, I think he had, like, a party or something with his people in San Francisco or something. And, like, to not be able to go celebrate that with him. And I fucked it off like I did. I ain't going to sit here and act like I didn't. I fucked it off. You know me, I take it on the chin and I take it on the chin. It is what it is. I don't hide from my fuck-ups, just like I don't hide from my wins. When I talk to y'all about the wins I have, and I tell you, don't let us win another fucking championship, and then I tell you about it, I'm the same way with my losses. And I messed that one up. But it hurts. And to see Loon have the success that he's had, and to just know, like, you taught him a little bit. Like, you did what you're supposed to do to teach a little bit. It's the best feeling in the world. And now, Loon, you doing that.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to see Trace playing well this year?
To see Trace play well it's been great. You know, seeing him because really during the summertime he was hurt, so I couldn't really like play with him. We didn't get a lot of time to like work out together. But this year, you know, being able to work out with him and see his talent. I remember me and you talking about like in the summertime he couldn't play at the mini camp, and you was asking him, man, when he gonna get out on the court? How is he? I'm like, pretty good. Like, he got a good feel for the game, got a high IQ. I didn't know he was that athletic until probably the season actually started. But just to see his growth and be able to learn and like work out with it's been cool. Especially after like losing Decky, I feel like our big man just got a lot closer. So it's always cool to see him reap his the reward after the work he put in. So it's been really cool. And I had a question for you because being older in the league, like I be seeing the plays, but you got a great skill of breaking it down. So a lot of times I come to you just so you can break it down better than I can. I just want to know where you learned that from and like who taught you how to really so you can put a complex scheme, you can break it down into layman's terms so anybody can get it.
Honestly, Tone, I feel like I am more blessed than any basketball player in the NBA. And the reason I feel that way is because the coaching that I had along the way, like when I started playing basketball, my Uncle Benny taught me the game. Like he didn't teach me. My Uncle Benny still called me to this day and be like, man, I taught you great. I'm just disappointed. Because the one thing I didn't teach y'all was one-on-one scoring.
Right.
He's like, I taught y'all everything, man. I feel so happy about it when I watch you play. It's like, but I'm disappointed in myself because the one thing I didn't teach y'all was one-on-one scoring. And to go from my Uncle Benny, who taught me the game at a very young age, like I learned how to play help side defense in elementary.
Yeah.
Like help side rules, gap defense, like the things that you learn. By the way, I see guys coming in the NBA learning these things because they had them terrible college coaches that they thought was nice and they not Tom Izzo. By the way, Loon should have been a Spartan, but that's a conversation for another day. But when I tell you guys coming to the NBA not knowing how to get in the gap, not knowing how to play help side deep, I learned that in elementary school. And then the coaches that I had along the way, Coach Dawkins, Coach Speedy, and to make it to the great Tom Izzo. The things like Tom Izzo, as much as I was taught by those coaches before, Tom Izzo taught me how to break it down that way. Because Coach Iz would bring you into a film session. And by the way, as you know, I just explained to y'all my relationship with Coach Kerr and how it started, it began. I am very much so the player that's going to test you. I am very much so the player that's going to question you. I am very much so the guy that if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to hate me because I'm going to ask you the questions and you got to give me an answer. And ain't no roundabout answer you giving me. You got to answer my question or I'm going to that don't make sense. And by the way, I'm going to let you know I feel like that don't make sense. And Coach Izzo had a saying. He said, listen, my office door is always open. But if you come in the kitchen, you better bring the goods. Because if you go in Coach Izzo's office and you say blah, 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 he's going to take you right through this little doorway in his office, which is his big film room with a big, long table. And he's going to sit you down and he's going to rip you apart through film. Like, look at this, blah, 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 blah. And he taught me how, to watch film, which is like, man, Loon just had a turnover. But why did Loon have a turnover? Because Draymond threw him a pass at his feet. And when you throw him a pass at his feet, he had to bend down to get that pass. And then his next pass was from there out of motion, out of bounds. And people's mind is like, dang, Loon just had a turnover. What Coach Izzo taught me is, Draymond, you had the turnover, right? And so through film, he then taught me indirectly how to break these things down into layman's terms. And so when he taught me how to watch film, that's when I learned how to break the game of basketball down the way I can. Because I watched these films with him, and again, I'm going in there like, fuck this, man. I didn't get the ball to... And he like, look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Look at that thing. Look at this thing. And he would tear me down so bad. Like, to the point where you walk out of there, you feel so defeated. But I will walk out of there And I would feel like, man, I am so much smarter than I was when I walked in there. And that's kind of where I got it from. It's like, it's teaching, like the way he taught me.
Right.
Like, you see me in film session. When we watch film, I go, because the things that I'm watching on film, when we watch a film, it's probably not what everybody else is watching. But I've been taught to watch film like Tom Izzo.
Right.
That's the only way I know.
Right.
And so that helped me learn how to break down these things to where, like, anybody can understand it. Because to Tom Izzo's basketball knowledge, I was just like everybody else. I was anybody that needed to understand. And he would break it down like that. And that's why you should have went to Michigan State, Tom.
When you put it like that, it sounds good, but UCLA, where is that? I'm recruiting his son right now. He's going to be at UCLA too. DJ coming to the Big Ten, you going to UCLA.
It's crazy because, you know, we live, well, not this season, right up the street from UCLA. And DJ be like, Daddy, UCLA this, UCLA that, UCLA. I'm like, bruh, we spark. It's like we Michigan State. And right. I told Toon this, and now Toon just hold it over my head. It's crazy. It's crazy. But Toon, I don't want to hold you too long. I got a couple more questions for you. What do you think Dallas can do? And you've kind of hinted at it a little bit, but give me 2 adjustments that the Dallas Mavericks need to make in order to get back in this series.
Well, I definitely gotta get the others feeling more comfortable. How you go about that? It's a couple of different things. I seem like they tried to start the second. Was that the third quarter? They put Gapper in the post, and he got a couple. I think he got a hook shot, and I think he got a much better half just because he felt like he was involved. He seen the ball go in the rim. We talked about putting Luka on the post. And see how Boston reacts to that. That's another adjustment they could do. I don't feel like I seen much Kyrie and Luka pick and rolls like them. Yeah. That's something that maybe you could try on the offensive end. And defensively, I feel like they've been doing a good job. You know, Boston missed a lot of threes. Maybe, like you said, send them left so they can, kind of take Tatum and Brown from punching the paint. And they got to figure out how to take Holiday's energy plays out the game. He kind of put his handprint all over the game. He didn't bully him, but he kind of had his way where he got where he wanted to get to. He came up with every loose ball. He made all the timely plays, and so you got to figure out how to match his intensity. And as a role player, I feel like that's our job is to figure out that part. Holiday not a role player. He's a little bit too qualified for what he's actually doing out there. So as a guy like Derrick Jones Jr., you should probably take that little personal. I'm all the 50-50 balls that he's getting, I'm getting tonight. That's what I try to do. All the small things for Lively, try to go get 8 offensive rebounds. All those type of energy plays kind of change the flow of the game and kind of breaks the Boston's put some pressure on them and get a little bit more physical, a little bit more nasty out there and see what happens.
It's crazy. Y'all be talking about I got a TV job. Y'all listen to this man talk. This is fire to me. This man know everything. Switching gears a little bit, and I appreciate your assessment because I agree with you. Dan Hurley is reportedly making a decision on the Lakers job on Monday. And reportedly, he's extremely impressed with the Lakers pitch, but also loves what he has built at UConn. Now, as a player that actually played for a coach very similar to Dan Hurley, which is super intense, by the way, Iz would tell us you suck at basketball. Draymond, you stink. You suck. Your mother could play better than you. Iz would say those types of things to us. And when I got to the NBA a couple times, Iz looked at there was a couple times that he looked at NBA jobs. And I remember specifically he was looking at the Cavs job. And when I was in college. And he didn't know whether LeBron was coming back or not, and he stayed. But then he was looking at the Cavs job again when Beeline took it.
Right.
And I told I said, something as simple as the way guys dress in the NBA would bother you. And you can't tell the guy that's making $30 million he sucked. Like, it's just going to be hard for you to do that. I'd much rather you stay at Michigan State. Now, selfishly, I wanted him to stay at Michigan State. But also, me having his best interest, just like he's always had my best interest to this day, no matter what happens. If anything goes right or wrong, I know I can turn to him.
Right.
Dan Hurley has that same style. I watch him with his players, and it's crazy. Do you think that his intense style could translate to an NBA coach?
He would have to adjust. Like, you just can't be that intense all the time in the NBA locker room. So I would say no. But he's a great coach, so I know he can adjust. But it's definitely going to be an adjustment. You can't come in for 82 games and be that intense because you're going to lose. I wouldn't say you will lose the locker room, but at some point they're going to tune you out. If you're just always yelling, if you're always in people's face, if you're overcoaching. Sometimes guys just like to figure out we got to figure out as a unit sometimes. Or sometimes it need to be collaborative. Like our film sessions, you might take over one day, or Chris Paul might take over, or Steph might have something to say that day. So you can't just be a dictator in the locker room, or I would not to call him one, but that intensity, I think that would make our team so special, or our locker room is just the joy and the knowing how to balance it out. So off the top of my head, I would say no, just because it's a lot of different personalities in the NBA locker room. In college, you gotta kind of fall into place. In the NBA, you don't have to. You want guys to buy in, but at the end of the day, we all grown men, so people don't like getting shown up in front of people in the game. So it's a fine line between the tense and getting embarrassed. So it's like, all right, you got to figure that how to walk that. So.
I agree. I think it's – go ahead.
Now, how would you feel about playing for Izzo as how you are now? Like,
I love Izzo to death. If Izzo said some of the things to me today that he said to me when I was 20, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. But it would not work. Right. And I'm so happy Iz stayed at Michigan State.
Right.
Because I would hate for somebody to try to take a hit at his legacy because it didn't work. Like, it's hard to coach in the NBA, man. Like, by the way, Darvin Ham had two successful seasons and got fired. Like, it is very hard to coach in the NBA. So I would hate to see his legacy get impacted like that. But also, there's just some things you can't say to me at 34 that you would have said to me at 19. And so he'd have to adjust. And by the way, Billy Donovan was much like Iz, right? Like, they were much like the same person. And, he's made it work. I wouldn't necessarily say he's had the best coaching career in the NBA, but he's been a good NBA coach. And so
you're coaching, so you're doing good enough.
Yeah, right? Like, so, it could help. And I understand that. But I agree. That particular style, if he's gonna take that style,
right.
You're not gonna go in there and tell LeBron James, it ain't working. Right. So that's my take on that. But I do got one more question for you. And by the way, before I ask the question, there's also a thing where college coaches are like, you go on the campus, Izzo the man.
Right.
You go on UConn campus, I don't even what's his name? Stefan Castle. And what was the big kid name?
Klingon?
Clinigan.
Something like that.
Donovan Clinigan or something. Clinigan, yeah. something like Klingen. No disrespect to him, but like they not the man on campus. Dan Hurley's the man on campus.
Right.
In the NBA, Dan Hurley, you only get blamed.
Right.
You don't get credit.
Right.
And so I think that's a totally different thing for coaches to have to accept as well. And like, how does his ego take that? Like, if you get the Lakers job, brother, you like 7th on the totem pole of the most important people with the Lakers. You're not number 1. And so that's a different thing. In saying that, do you think the Lakers hiring Dan Hurley makes them a championship contender next year?
I'm gonna ask you a question. Were they a championship contender this year?
They were not.
Then I think just changing the coach, then no. If all they do is change the coach, I don't think that just puts them into contention. They're gonna have to. I don't know what they need to add, but they have to add something to figure it out. I don't think Darvin Ham was the only problem for why they didn't win the championship.
Facts.
So I couldn't just say, "Oh, we changed the coach, now we're a champion." I don't think it worked like that.
That's a fact.
So I would say no.
I agree with you. And by the way, I actually think Darvin Ham was like building in the right direction. Like they ran into a bad matchup for them, which is they ran into a bad matchup, which is the Nuggets. Like that's the worst team they could have played because that matchup for them just isn't great.
Right.
But I think Darvin Ham was actually doing a great job, but I agree with you. I don't think that makes you a championship contender, just like all things equal, like that team and then that coach. I don't think that makes you a championship contender. I also don't think Dan Hurley's going to walk in and be like, come on, LeBron, you need to.
Right.
Ain't happening. So, nonetheless, I respect the hell out of Dan Hurley as a coach. I think he's incredible. Comes from an incredible pedigree, 2-time national champion. I got nothing but respect for him, but this NBA is different.
Right.
And people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, last question, too.
Yeah.
Huh? Go ahead.
He definitely can adjust, but how long does it take for somebody to adjust from college to the NBA? Do you do it overnight? Is it a 2-year to him really to figure it out? Like, if you ain't been in the NBA game, how long does it take for you to adjust? That's like another question, too.
That's a fact. And then also, if it's a 2-year adjustment, are they waiting past 2 because they got rid of Darv after 2?
Right.
So it's a tough thing. Last question, too, and I gotta ask this. People would fight me if I didn't ask this. Your future with the Warriors. $3 million guaranteed, $8 million salary. There's a bunch of things going around. Nobody know what the hell they're talking about. But just talk to me about what it's been like for the Warriors with you. Do you want to stay with the Warriors? What do you see next in your career? Just finished it's 2024. Year 8.
This year 9. Going on.
You
10.
just finished year 9.
Yeah, going on 10 next year.
Oh, he got full pension. What y'all talking about? You better act like you know.
Right.
Full pension. Right. But talk to me about that too. Like what's next for you? Do you want to be with the Warriors? Do you see like it didn't finish great for me this year? Like what is it for you?
Well, the ball isn't in my court. I don't have full control over my destiny, so I kind of got to play the waiting game, control what I can control. Now, I've been here my whole career. I don't know nothing else. So, you always want to finish what you started and be somewhere for the whole career, but I'm been in this business long enough. I know that's not realistic. So I'm preparing myself for whatever. My family's out here. The Bay's been great to me. They treat me like family. I grew up here, so I haven't really thought about too far. I'm trying to see what they're going to do first before I really, push the envelope, see what I want to do. Right now, I'm just focusing on my game. Like you said, end of the season ain't the best for me. But I take pride in adapting and figuring stuff out. So that's I got a new goal, a new plan. I gotta be adapt. So I'm looking forward to add to my game, adapting to this new NBA and figuring out. And I've been working hard, and I feel like I'm be a different player next year, and that's always the goal. I feel like I conquered my old role, so now I got to figure out my new role and take that next step. So that's what I've been focusing on. I'm trying to focus on my game, and usually when you focus on your game and you put in the work, things always work out for me. So like I said, the ball ain't in my court. I've been a warrior for life. Even whatever happens, I'm always gonna be a warrior for life. And so I'm really just waiting to see what our organization gonna do.
You are most definitely that, my brother. You have been incredible for me in my life. I love you to death. I appreciate you. I know this organization and the fan base appreciate you. And I don't know what the hell anybody's doing. I don't even know. I hope to be there. But
Right.
but in saying all of that, as you said, number one, again, listen to these answers. This man is talking about the business of basketball. He's talking about the ball's not in my court, the ball's in their court, but I'm prepared for everything. And most importantly, what he just said in that answer, which is I said this on the pod. The most importantly, he just said, I'm adjusting to this new NBA because since 2022, the NBA actually changed a lot. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the average person watching the NBA realizes the shift that has happened in the NBA. But these shifts happen every so often. And the last shift that happened was due to the way Steph Curry shot the ball and the way Klay Thompson shot the ball. That was the last shift in the NBA. That shift is now shifted. And in turn, you saw Loon like not in the lineup sometimes, because it shifted. And what did he just say? I'm adjusting to this new NBA and I'm adding to my game so I'm prepared for that new NBA. Because most people can't adjust to the new NBA and then they out in a year, right? And so you listening to the most professional teammate I've ever had in my life. Not NBA, not college, not high school.
Tell you the reason I ain't never late, right?
Why is that?
First day of my training camp, I'm on crutches. I pull up to practice like 10:30. It start at 11. I can't walk. I can't even get on the court. I'm not even rehabbing at the facility. I got to go somewhere else to rehab. And he come in sweating, locker room. You just now getting here? I'm like, yeah. Like I can't do nothing. Be here at 8:30 tomorrow. I'm like, all right. And ever since then, I've been there at 8:30 every day. I ain't never late just because he told me so. I guess that's the time I'm supposed to be here. He probably, I don't even know if he remember that, but I was on crutches. I'm like, why are you tripping? I can't even practice. I can't walk. I can't do anything. But hey, I'm going to be here at 8:30. Sit here and watch.
That's crazy. I've never heard this story, by the way. Y'all heard it here on the Draymond Green Show, presented to you by Hyper Ice and Kevon Looney. And I'm honored to hear that because over the last 2 years of my career, well, actually, I wasn't late at all this year. I was so embarrassed to be around our team last year when JP was still on the team that I came to everything. Like, I was probably late last season 20 times. And I just paid a fine because I was so embarrassed to like show my face in a time where it's like before everything started, that's when everybody like shooting the shit and like all the conversation. I was so embarrassed to show my face during those times that I would time everything up. Like if we're on the road, I time it up to like the minute I need to get there. And if the elevator took a little bit longer than it was supposed to, I'd be late. Or if I'm leaving my crib, which is like 7 to 8 minutes away from the facility, I time it up to the minute of where I need to arrive. And if the red light right there in front of the Giants Stadium, Oracle Park, if the red light caught me, I'd be 2-3 minutes late. Like, ah. And so one of Steve's rules this year was like, Draymond, don't be late. And I'm never a late guy. I was never late in my career, but last year I couldn't show my face like before. Like it was terrible. And so I was happy to be back on time this year. I'm also happy to hear that because again, the impact that you make on a young guy, and I've talked about this too. Some of these teams not having a vet. Like the importance of a vet on a young player goes way further than their game could ever take them.
Right.
And to hear that is an honor to me. I'm honored to have my young brother, my little brother, Kevon Looney, Toon, y'all don't know that, but my man Toon on the show. I appreciate you, brother. I hope to be your teammate next year, whether that's you with the Warriors, I'm with the Warriors, or we both with the Warriors.
Right.
You just never know how these things go. As Toon said, you just don't know. But nonetheless, whether I'm your teammate or not, I love you to death forever. I appreciate you. I am so proud of the career that you've had, 9 years in, and two or three hip surgeries in the first, 2 hip surgeries in the first year and a half of your career. Like, that's a death sentence.
Right.
That's a bigger death sentence than the word tweener. When I was coming out, that was a death sentence. 2 hip surgeries is a death sentence. And 9 years later, you're still on the same team. You are the 5th most tenured player, maybe even less than that now because Dame left, in the NBA today. And to do that the way you've had to do it, I got nothing but respect for you. I got nothing but love for you. I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to continue drinking my Lobos down here in Cabo as I've been doing. But I love you to death. I appreciate you. Thank you, my brother.
Appreciate it, man. My mom is super excited that I'm on the show. She said, when you gonna get on this show? I said, I don't know. I'm waiting on the invite. So I know she's gonna be watching it and saying she love you just as much too. So
Miss Victoria Looney, we love you to death. We sure love you. Pops, much love. That's a wrap from this episode of the Draymond Green Show. I'm gonna take a shot of my Lobos and I'm gonna continue to enjoy my vacation. But I love y'all. That's a wrap. Peace.